Good day everyone and welcome to Horizon Journey, or at least the demo for the game. Now, this is part of Steam Next Fest, which is coming to a close real soon, but don't worry, you can still play this demo even after Steam Next Fest is over. The developers intend to continue to make the demo available, and also will be updating it as they progress with the game, before eventually the game is released in early access. Now, that being said, there's a couple things we've got to quickly talk about here before we get into the game. Specifically, I want to discuss what's going to be... I'm basically going to summarize this really quickly. So first of all, it's a small team. In fact, it's as small of a team as you can get. It's just 2 people. Any fewer and it wouldn't be a team at all. It would just be 1 person. With that being said, we're going to give them a little bit of a break on some things here. Let's give them some slack. It's a small team. The next thing we're going to quickly discuss is that, in the early access version, you'll be expecting to find terraforming systems, night creatures, remote exploration zones, sandstorms and environmental hazards, radioactive regions, and so much more. The demo focuses on base building pretty much, and survival, okay? So there's a lot more stuff to come. That being said, you're not going to see this stuff in it. You're just basically getting the base building and some basic resource collection. It's a demo. Alright, don't put too high of hopes. The other thing I want to point out is that you do not have access to the options, and the credits button doesn't seem to do anything. So, yeah, that's that. Well, okay, now that we've got that covered, let's go ahead and hit New Journey. And we're going to select Single Journey, because that's our only option, but come early access, they expect to have co-op available. Now, one thing I want to add, I really love these backgrounds here, particularly, it just really helps set the scene. Speaking of the scene, I'm just going to read this to you, and then we're going to go over character selection and kind of a weird quirk that I see here. I agree to join the 17th Endeavor mission to gather resources, build structures, and survive in Mars' tough conditions. I take on the mission of terraforming Mars. I am fully responsible for any dangers I might face during the mission. So we're basically agreeing to this legal contract as part of the Endeavor 17 colony mission. And that's just it. Basically, Endeavor 17, our goal is to build colony on Mars. We're the 17th mission. It hasn't gone so well for Endeavor 1 through 16, apparently. So much so that they're saying, yeah, you're responsible for it. A couple criticisms. I am fully responsible for any dangers. That should be a comma. I might face during? It should be during the mission. I read it correctly. They've got a couple of little grammar issues there. Nothing that can be fixed easily. Just a little... It's kind of funny, actually. Face furring the mission. I kind of like that. It's funny. Basically, we can pick between Alyssa, Luke, Eliran, and Lyra. Alright, so we got 4 characters we can choose from. I don't think it really matters, that much there, because it's not like you can really customize them. So we've got 2 male, 2 female characters. Alright. Suit colors, we have white, red, orange, and black. We're going to stick with white so they can find our dead body on the Martian surface, because this is probably not going to go so well. I don't know why you would choose red. No one will ever find you. Orange, just as bad. Black, good luck seeing this person at night. They're a ninja. Alright, so we have the option to choose Go to Journey or Load to Journey. I'm pretty sure this is basically, I haven't tried it, but this is basically loading a save, and this is creating a new save, which is odd, because you'd think this would have been on the main menu, instead of hitting Start New Journey, Load Old Journey. Kind of seems odd. But we're going to hit Go to Journey. And again, we're going to get a neat little, kind of like cinematic background there with the loading that helps kind of set the mood in the scene. It's not great, it's not terrible. Now, right off the bat, we're going to have a little bit of a bug here in this demo. As you can see, if in the bottom right there, I have a little oxygen meter, and it's going down. That shouldn't be doing that. Just walk outside, and then walk back inside. You're going to be good to go. It's going to be back at 500. We're fine. As long as you're in this room, your oxygen shouldn't be depleting. The second you leave the room, your oxygen is going to deplete. So stay inside the room. While we're at it, let's just quickly discuss vitals. The green bar is your heart, your health, basically. The little blue, I should say, is your water, and the kind of orange one there is your food. The big blue circle is your oxygen, and the kind of golden one, in fact, let me bring up the inventory here so I can say it. So, I should have done this in the first place. This is your health, this is your water, this is your food, this is your oxygen, and this is your tool battery. I'm going to call it tool battery instead of weapon because it doesn't really serve as a good weapon, at least from what I've seen so far. Since we're in the inventory, this is your inventory space. It's a little bit on the small side, but still bigger than what would probably be real life. I mean, how much can you really carry in real life, especially wearing a spacesuit? Additionally, once this fills up, it will fill up down here. If you so choose, you can actually drag your consumables, such as your water or your food, down there. They give you 10 of each. And I forget how much these fill up. I think it's like it's between like a half and a third maybe or something. I don't know. Maybe it's a quarter. I can't remember how much it does. But yeah, basically they give you some first aid kits, some water, some food, some weapon batteries, and some oxygen batteries, which... Ooh, okay, I think that should say oxygen tank. If you're waiting for any kind of guidance here on controls, there is none. And this is why I brought up there's no options menu. You can't even go into the options menu to view what the controls are for the game or change them. On the menu screen, I actually had to turn down the volume on my headphones because the music is just so loud. It was killing my ears. So I had to turn down the volume on my headphones. You can't even adjust the volume for like the music. So yeah, that's kind of an irritating thing. So yeah, we're gonna hit resume here. The other criticism, you know, I basically got one more criticism of the demo, and you know, I can't tell you how frustrating it was figuring out the controls for this. A lot of people have gotten frustrated, and yeah, a lot of them have... It's kind of soured their view of the game, which is disappointing, because I don't feel like the demo really represents, you know, is a good representation of the game. It feels like the demo was rushed to make it for Steam Next Fest, and I kind of wish they hadn't done that, because I think it's left a sour taste in some people's mouth. Hopefully this video helps undo some of that. So, my big criticism of the game isn't the inability to find the controls, it's actually this. So, I'm going to look directly at that line there, alright, that seam, if you will, between the sections. My mouse is all the way against my keyboard, and I'm going to move to the right, okay? I'm going to go all the way off, you know, to the edge of my mouse area, alright, the horizontal area that my mouse can travel. And I want, for reference, my mouse area is bigger than a standard mouse pad. I have a much wider mouse pad than what most people have, okay? It's fairly large, alright? So I'm going to move all the way to the right here. That's it. In most games, that would be like 2 360s right there. In this game, I have to constantly pick up my mouse and move it and stuff. It's basically a sensitivity issue, and it's not my mouse. It's in the game itself. Basically, you would have to turn up the sensitivity on your mouse really high, since we can't adjust it in the options, since there's no options. And this is what makes the lack of options kind of a big deal. You can't view the controls, and you can't adjust the mouse with it. Additionally, there is some controller support. I don't want to say there's all controller support. Everything is kind of presented as, oh, A select, B back, and stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff that it doesn't seem to really work with controller. You know, it's kind of odd that everything's presented from the controller perspective, but yet controllers seem to have some bugs. At least mine did when I tried it. Alright, so because I figured out all of the controls you really need to know for this game, let's get to it. So, when we go outside, what we're going to want to do is... By the way, it's I to open your inventory. I don't know if I mentioned that. We're going to hit T, and this is going to basically be like a, you know, a ping that helps highlight resources. This is fairly common in games like this. We're going to hit middle mouse button to bring up our tool, and this is the thing that I couldn't figure out, and I actually had to go to the Steam discussion page for the game, and that's where I realized, ooh, wow. People are kind of upset about, you know, not knowing the controls here and stuff. I mean, I'm kind of with them on that, but, you know, it would have been nice if the developers put out something that, you know, like a sheet that said, hey, here's the controls in the game. Where we didn't think to put it in here, or we didn't have time. Anyway, so you have basically these 4 tools here in your hand, which you won't ever need in this game. That's basically for punching stuff, and there's nothing really to punch. So there's solvent, build, cutter, and scan. I haven't figured out scan yet, so we're just going to focus on these three. These are the only three we're going to really talk about in this demo. Solvent is used to collect objects. Build is used to produce objects. Really, it shouldn't be objects, it's structural stuff. And the cutter is used for destroying objects. Most of your buildings, most of your construction of objects, alright, is going to be done here. We'll get to that in a moment. In the meantime, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the cutter here. You're going to want to break these rocks, because that's going to give us some good resources. We got free gold, some silver, some metal, which is odd that metal is a thing there. I think it's supposed to be iron, but they put metal. That's my interpretation of it, is that it's actually iron, whereas all the other metals are listed. Yeah, you'll also be able to collect ice and salt, which if you have ice and salt, boom, there's your vitals taken care of as far as food and water. My biggest reminder is don't let your oxygen hit 0. You really don't want to die in this game, alright? So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to collect enough resources here so that we can actually build a chest to keep our resources in, because whenever I've died in, as part of kind of tests, I have yet to be able to pick up my stuff. It spawns in like a death crate, but I've never been able to access it afterwards. So we've gathered some of those rocks, but there's also debris like this. We can't use the tool on the debris. Instead, we got to use the solvent here on debris. So we're going to switch over there. One thing to note about this tool is that when you can actually harvest something with it, it turns green. All right, it's blue for solvent, red for the cutter, but it turns green the reticle there when it's something you can do. And you can also zoom, you can also pull up the sight on it there by holding right click. That also gives you an idea of your charge. So that gives us some other resources, and really we're going to need some of those things as well for what we're going to be building. So I'm going to go gather some resources. That being said, it's getting kind of dark, so I'm going to turn on my flashlight with L. That's really, I think, covers all the things you need to know as far as controls for this game. Is, E to access your inventory, L for flashlight, T for your kind of beacon thing there to help you find items, especially at night. That's particularly useful. So I'm going to switch back to the cutter. I'm going to grab some more rocks, and then I'm going to head on inside. Actually, you know what? Oxygen. Never mind. Let's see if we have enough to do it. Plus, I need to drink water. So, because I have it on my hot bar, Alright, so I'm back inside. My oxygen's refilling there. I also need to drink some water. So I'm going to hit just 1 on my keyboard here to use the hot bar there. Alternatively, I'm also going to eat some food here. You can right-click on whatever it is, whether it be in your inventory or on your hot bar, and you can hit eat. You also have the option to split or drop the stack. I'm going to hit eat there. So yeah, it fills up a fair amount. It's a fair amount that you get from those. And if you need to make, if you run out of water and food, you can go into survival, support items, and you can actually, oh no, wait, it isn't support items. What is it? Yeah, survival, I thought it was survival. You can make salty food and bottled water, alright? Basically this just will produce, as this here just requires salt and ice to produce. I don't know how you can live off of just salt and ice. That doesn't make sense for food, but it comes at the downside of actually increasing water, so you'll end up needing a lot more water when you do this. Basically, you need the thermoplastic and ice again. So ice is a very critical thing there. So what we really want to do here is we want to make a small storage unit. And as I said, I want to make this as soon as possible so I can store my stuff in there. To make it, you would need polymer plates, rubber, and refined metal. So there is some kind of intermediary components. It's actually here, interim components. If we go here, we can make polymer plates. It requires polymer. We got 32 out of 2. So let's go ahead and create some of those. We just left click craft and good to go. We also need some refined metal. Refined metal requires free metal and some magnesium. Now, this is where the problem comes in. I didn't get magnesium, so it's kind of, I'll be having to go out and get some more. But crafting is pretty simple. Once I do that, I'll show you how to make a chest. Okay, so now I should have enough magnesium. So we're gonna go back over to our interim components here. We're gonna scroll down, we're gonna click refined metal, and we're gonna make some refined metal. I think we needed 2, but let's double check that. Small storage unit. Interesting. We got this weird issue again. So I have, this is interesting. There seems to be, a bug I've noticed where, for some reason, it sometimes doesn't register that you have 2 polymer plates, with this. And I can't understand why, because if you notice, polymer plate, I got 2 there. It says it requires 2, but it shows only that I've got 1. So, there does seem to be a kind of issue with that. Let's try, seeing if we can update it there. Yeah, that's weird. I noticed this earlier, and it was because it was split, but that's bothersome. Oh, is that bothersome? Alright, let's make another polymer plate, because we're probably going to need that anyway, so polymer plate. Alright, we got 4. So it really has no right to complain. Yeah, it's only detecting 3 of 2. There's some weird bugs in the demo, alright? But we've now made a small storage unit. So to place it, we're gonna right click on it, we're gonna click build. And we can place this down somewhere. You can rotate it with your scroll wheel there, so you can get it the way you want it. The thing that I find irritating is that it doesn't quite line up with the grid inside the place there. I wish there was like a fine rotate or a non-grid rotate. I don't know if there is such a thing, really. But yeah, we're just gonna place it down somewhere. I'm gonna place it here. It's kind of out of the way that way. So if we approach it, we can hit E and we can transfer our stuff. I highly recommend that you transfer, pretty much everything from your inventory over. The reason I say this is every time I've died so far, anything I've had on my character, I've not been able to get back. So yeah, that's something you want to be very cautious of. Death is not a good thing in the demo, it seems. Again, the demo is not necessarily a good representation of the game because it's fairly clear they kind of rushed some things to make it for Steve next to us. That's why I said I kind of wish they didn't do it. So let's quickly talk about the build menu here, the build tool. So you get basically this building tablet, and there's some stuff that you can see it's like not in your inventory, but we can open the build menu by pressing B. So let's go outside here for a second. I'm gonna open the build menu. And this is it. So we can use Q and E to navigate around here. What's nice is they actually give you instructions for this stuff, which I think is great. We actually are getting some some key bindings and stuff. So yeah, we can rotate the object with scroll wheel. We can hit Q and E to select what we want to build. So like, it also is going to list what the resources we need is. And as you can see, it's actually not that expensive. A lot of the stuff isn't necessarily that expensive. Likewise, you can actually switch to the partition mode here, and you can partition structures like so. So yeah, you can change like partitioning of structures as you see fit there. So let me actually get out of, we can hit B to get out of it. All right, I've got plenty of oxygen. Now, the thing that I've kind of noticed, if I switch over to my hand here, notice that it's still green like this. There is a bug like that, and I just randomly died. I think it was my hunger. I think my hunger did. But this is going to demonstrate kind of my frustration with the game, is that... Oh! Okay, this time I was actually able... I'm actually able to access it. So you can sometimes get your stuff back, it seems. I stress sometimes because, yeah, I tried for quite a while to open one of those death crates once, and yeah. So this is once again kind of the criticism. There's no indicator when you're looking at something if you're in range of like a chest where you need to click, because, you know, you have to get really close to the research desk, and there's no real indication of when you're close enough to it. Like, right now, I'm obviously close enough, but you can't access the research desk by looking at it here. You have to look at the sides of it. And you don't really get an indicator of where you have to do that. For example, I don't think this piece of equipment, you know, has an interface on it. I don't know. I've never been able to find it, because I might have to look at a very specific spot, but there's no icon that comes up. It's the same thing with this piece of equipment here. Again, something I'm really not sure what this is. So, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't figured out yet in the demo, but, you know, especially the energy control panel here. I don't even know if this thing works, to be honest with you. But that's alright. You know, once again, this is a demo. The core function of the demo is here on, you know, basically base building. It gives you a good idea of that. Everything else that's to come is alright. So, with that being said, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the worst demo I have ever made a video of for the channel. That's not to say that this is, you know, and I'm talking about the demo. I'm not talking about the game. The game looks good. The demo is just not complete. You know, there's a lot of issues with the demo that prevents me from saying, oh yeah, this is a good demo. Because it's clearly left some people frustrated, so there's a problem there. Having said that, again, I think the demo was rushed is what the problem is. I think, you know, the two people working on this game, they tried to quickly get the demo out for Steam Next Fest and stuff because they really wanted to promote their game. And that is why I'm doing this video here. I almost didn't do this video on this demo because, as I said, this is the worst demo I've ever done a video on. Normally, I wouldn't do a demo. You know, I wouldn't record a demo. I played many demos that are bad, and you don't see those because I don't do videos on them. This one I said, no, the game is good. I'm doing a demo on the. I'm going to do a video on this demo, even though I don't like the demo because, as I said, there's some issues here. There's issues with the fact that, yeah, they really should have given access to the options menu and gotten that set up, because the looking around here that's awful. That's really, really bad. I mean, you don't need to enable motion blur with this. There's no way anyone's getting, you know, motion sickness from that. I say that mostly jokingly, not literally with that. I think you can probably get motion sickness from that. The point is that the demo has some issues. I really don't like the demo, but I like what the demo is. I like what's to come. I think the game, it has potential. I look forward to, you know, them doing some updates to the demo, and I look forward to what the game's going to turn into. Should you play this demo? Maybe not right now. If you know, after seeing the issues, if you still want to jump into the demo and play with the stuff that is available, hats off to you. Go ahead and do that. You can do so right now. Link to the Steam store page is in the description of the video. You can go there and you can download the demo and you can play it. But I'm going to recommend most people hold off a little bit. You know, keep an eye on the game, but I don't necessarily recommend trying the demo at this time because they need to work on the demo and the game. You know, there's some rough stuff here that needs to be worked out. Once that's done, I think you'll be able to get a better idea of what the game's going to be. And I fully intend to revisit this. You know, I'm really looking forward to this game. So what do you think about, you know, the game and in the demo? You know, what are your thoughts from what you've seen in this video? And if you enjoyed this video, you know, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. But I want to know what you think of the demo. I want to know what you think about the future of Horizon Journey and stuff. As I said, I'm very optimistic about it. I want to help this team out, you know, by doing videos on it and stuff, because I really like what I've seen. I just don't like the demo because of the aforementioned issues, which are all easily fixed. It's little things. It just makes it a bad experience. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have a great day, everyone.